If you're just tuning in, I'm Jay.
And I'm Marie.
And this is JAM Sesh Live. Live. We're just going to watch some of this video from LegalEagle discussing the Afroman trial, where it started from the warrant, the search, to suing each other, trying to get damages repaired, to the songs, and then the results. So we already know this case has happened. I think this case concluded like 5-6 days ago. We already know that Afroman did win the case. So the jury decided that he wasn't to be held liable for defamation or false light, which is what he was being sued for. And this video does a good job of explaining it and getting into the weeds and like the details, like the stuff that we missed initially just kind of watching TikToks. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to it.
An Ohio Sheriff's Department picked the wrong fight. About 3 years ago, they raided the home of the rapper Afroman, broke his beloved front gate, and kicked down a charming side door. Over 3 years later, Afroman was put on trial. Not because of any crime he committed, the police found nothing incriminating in their raid. No, he was on trial for what he said about the police raid in a viral music video. But by 2022, Afroman had traded the limelight for a quieter life in Winchester, Ohio, where he lived, performed locally, and made music on his own terms. He had a home studio, security cameras on his property, and cash from gig earnings stored in the house. He was not, by any apparent measure, a drug trafficker or a kidnapper. Someone, however, had told the Adams County Sheriff's Office otherwise. On August 21st, 2022, the Adams County Sheriff's Office obtained and executed a search warrant on Afroman's home. The warrant alleged suspicion of drug trafficking and kidnapping. The basis? A confidential informant. Afroman wasn't home when they showed up, but his then wife and their 2 kids, aged 10 and 12, were nearby.
So I imagine it's really scary, like when you're home with the family and this is happening to you and you're witnessing this, but I think it's even scarier if you're not around, but your partner and your kids, your whole family's there. So you're probably getting phone calls, text messages, if they're even allowed to do that. We don't know where he was, but like that's scary. Like being there is scary, and I think to a degree not being there is even scarier.
Scarier, yeah. You don't know what's going on.
And I think they touched on it a little bit, but they got this tip from a confidential informant, but it doesn't seem like they did anything to verify the information.
You must look into it. You can't just break in someone else's house. What about investigate it? What about talk with this person? Yeah, of course we can say like, yeah, it could be like they can run away and everything.
Yeah, and I think what made it more pressing was that he said those kidnapping victims. So when there's victims involved, like if it was just drugs, like, and I'm not trying to like defend, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. Like if there's drugs involved and it's just drugs, yeah, that makes sense. Like maybe not rush into things, do a thorough investigation.
But kidnapping, kidnap who? Again, you need to investigate who was kidnapped.
Again, I'm not defending their actions. And yeah, there should have been like a little, just like with anything else, like a little bit goes a long way, like including with police work.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to justify just getting the warrant and executing it, we don't know who they kidnapped, but it sounds like they kidnapped somebody. We're just gonna be there to make sure they're not kidnapped. I don't agree with it. Obviously, it was misguided. It was wrong. But listen, I'm not their lawyer. I'm just trying to think of it from both sides. Like I'm totally on his side. Like this is messed up. What the hell were they doing? Why do you like? Who is this confidential informant? Like how reliable is the information?
Why they not investigate that person after all of this happens?
I don't want to keep playing both sides.
So much questions.
Yeah, let's just keep playing the video.
Okay.
It came over when they saw the police presence. She recorded parts of it on her phone, and there's also body cam footage. According to Afroman, the deputies kicked in his front door, broke his external gate, cut the wiring on his security camera system, rummaged through his closet, flipped through his CD collection, handled a wad of cash found in the home, and encountered 1 lemon pound cake baked by his mother.
What's wrong with his walls? Why are they all bright green?
Because he loves weed. Weed.
Bright green?
The weed.
Yeah,
It hurts my eyes.
He loves the weed.
They found no drugs, they found no kidnapping victims, they found no evidence of any crime. They didn't even find the basement torture dungeon the confidential informant described because, well, apparently Afroman's house didn't even have a basement. Needless to say,
I don't think that confidential informant is going to be used too much longer.
And exist too much longer.
Like, that's insane.
no charges were ever filed. But they did leave behind something priceless: security camera footage. Afroman came home to a trashed house. His front door was destroyed, his security system was cut, his property was in disarray. He reached out to the sheriff's office about repairing the damage. He says their response was essentially, not our problem.
The guy started laughing and waddling his head. He goes, "We're not required to do that." And they were unapologetic.
Afroman actually filed his own lawsuit over the damage to his home, but that claim was dismissed. And that's because the law gives police a lot of leeway here. When officers execute a valid search warrant, they're generally allowed to use reasonable force to get inside, even if that means breaking doors or damaging property.
Of course not.
No, in the situations when it's actually find something, yes. But if you break in someone else's house, I'm sorry. If you don't find anything, not only don't find any drugs or kidnapped victims, but you don't find any smell of that, anything of that. There is nothing to say that it's actually anything happening there. It's your mistake. And again, we're talking about responsibilities too much on this channel. Take the responsibilities. You did that. You must have a funding for the situations like this to cover damages. And in this situation, whatever we hear before, whatever we hear right now, it feels like they just dismiss it. It's like, police do everything right. There is nothing wrong they did. They are the greatest. We need to say they are great. Whatever they do, they are a law. No, they not. They can do mistakes. They can break in someone's house. They can attack people who are not involved in anything, and they need to be responsible for their decision to do so financially or physically. Go to jail if you harm someone who's actually was not involved in and not guilty, whatever. Law apply to police officers too.
Right. Like you said, they're not the law, they enforce the law.
Yeah.
The law still treats the raid itself as lawful. He also says the deputies had confiscated over $5,000 in cash, money he made from performing. Eventually, they gave it back, but Afroman claimed about $400 was missing. The sheriff's office said deputies simply miscounted. But Afroman was not convinced. So he asked himself a question that would kick off this entire saga.
I asked myself, as a powerless black man in America, what can I do? And only thing I could come up with was make a funny rap song about them and make some money, use the money to pay for the damages, and move on. There are no kidnapping victims in my CD.
Something about these lyrics, they're just so simple, but they hit.
Give me a second. What does it remind me? Oh, you know the new album of Lily Allen?
Oh, was it Sex Palace?
Pussy Palace.
Pussy
but
Palace.
It's called album called West End Girl, I believe so.
Okay.
When she's in every song, she's singing it's not a song. It's not like a lyrics. There's no hidden meanings. There's
It just sounds like a journal entry. Yeah.
It's just, I'll find a butt plug under the bed. Whoo! So this song sounds for me the same way. So it's just situation what happens. And you put the music under that.
Yeah.
Then came the masterpiece, Lemon Pound Cake. Set to the tune of the Drifters song Under the Boardwalk, the video slows down on a deputy who, in the middle of executing a search warrant for kidnapping victims and narcotics, pauses at a cake stand in Afroman's kitchen and stares at a lemon pound cake baked by Afroman's mother.
Mama's lemon pound cake, it tastes so nice. Make the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him a slice.
It looked like he was looking up at the camera and then down at the cake. Can I do this?
There's that's recording this particular thing. Is the camera looking
I'll come back for you. I'm gonna check you for drugs. This cake is crack, man.
Now, more we listen to this song, more I want a pound cake, lemon pound cake.
Afroman didn't stop there. He created an entire lemon pound cake album. He made merchandise featuring the deputies' likenesses. He nicknamed the cake-gazing officer Police Officer Pound Cake on social media. He compared the judge who signed off on the warrant to the cartoon character Droopy. He compared one officer to Quasimodo.
We're gonna jump this ad because YouTube Premium is great for that. But LegalEagle, support them if you want to. They do make great content. Obviously, we're watching this video. Thank you, LegalEagle.
We can say he's actually became a big troll of this particular police.
Definitely a thorn in their side for sure. And he even says so, like, I wouldn't be doing all this if you guys didn't make this mistake.
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be making songs about you, exposing you, if you guys didn't come here on faulty information and destroy my place and try to eat my cake.
One deputy, and we'll just let you guess who, said anonymous people had mailed pound cakes to his workplace. Multiple pound cakes.
That's
Is that
great.
supposed to be a bad thing? And what did they want? Nearly $4 million in damages. Afroman's response was immediate.
So you want $4 million and pound cakes?
You want too much.
I want $4 million worth of pound cakes.
And he had allies. The ACLU of Ohio filed an amicus brief calling the lawsuit a classic slap suit. In the meantime, a local judge eventually dismissed 6 of the 8 claims in the officer's lawsuit against Afroman. However, the judge kept 2 claims alive, false light and defamation. They're closely related, but both run headfirst into the First Amendment.
Just like most people in that town, they're all closely related. Cousins, brothers, sisters, and married.
Under Ohio law, defamation protects against false statements of fact that harm a person's reputation.
I'm just kidding. Small town in Ohio, 50 miles away from Cleveland. I'm sure you're great people. These guys just misrepresented you.
The plaintiff must show that the defendant made a false statement, it was published to a third party, the defendant acted with the requisite intent, and the statement hurt the plaintiff's reputation.
Let's go a little bit back. What about false accusation that he have a drugs and a kidnapped victim? What about that?
I'll say it. I think the odds were definitely stacked against Afroman. I think people had their feelings about him. It kind of comes off, it's like he's this guy that sings about smoking weed and raps and this is a nice town. You know, that's how it kind of comes off. Like I don't remember if he said it yet, but like he countersued and they dismissed that countersuit. They didn't even let him sue them. They're like, no, you're going to deal with these 2 lawsuits.
The Supreme Court of Ohio recognized the tort of false light in Welling v. Weinfeld. False light does not require a specific false statement. Instead, it targets situations where someone is placed before the public in a misleading way, one that would be highly offensive to a reasonable person. False light differs from defamation in that it focuses on misleading and highly offensive impressions, such as the impression made during a music video, rather than on specific false statements. But even here, falsity still matters. The claim depends on a false implication, or a false overall impression, not just an unfavorable or embarrassing one. The Ohio Supreme Court emphasized that to prove false light, the plaintiff has to show actual malice, mirroring constitutional defamation standards because the First Amendment still applies. And there's good reason for that. Because once you move from false statements to false impressions, you're getting dangerously close to punishing speech simply because it offends. And that's where the First Amendment draws a hard line. There's a defense that cuts across both defamation and false light: parody. If no reasonable person would take the statement as a literal claim of fact, it's protected. And that was the core of Afroman's defense, that his music and videos were expressive, exaggerated, and not meant to be taken literally. But the defense didn't stop there. If the footage used in videos is real, and the events depicted actually happened, then the resulting portrayal, even if humiliating or critical, is not necessarily false. And without falsity, neither defamation nor false light can succeed.
That was a lot. So essentially it's like, hey, if it's a silly song with silly lyrics that people can reasonably understand that it's just a song, like you can watch a movie and reasonably understand that no one's getting shot in John Wick for real. You can hear a song of people teasing other people and making fun of them. You can understand that it's just a song. You have the right to express yourself artistically, as long as you're not going out and hurting people. Now, if you're hurt by the results of it, that's kind of on you. Does it stink to get teased? Sure. But to try to sue for $3 to $4 million, I don't know if that's enough. And obviously, the jury found that it wasn't.
The local judge concluded that for purposes of false light, Afroman publicized false facts about the cops, which would be highly offensive to a reasonable person. These allegations, he said, were sufficient to state a claim. The judge also held that the deputies had a viable defamation claim. Allegations that the police stole money or used drugs were the type of statements that would cause reputational harm. But the judge is overlooking the very big elephant in the room. Afroman made his claims in the context of songs that included parody and satire. And that kind of speech is generally protected by the First Amendment.
Why judge and all these police officers don't think about their appearance now? Like, did they see that they are already, like I said, poop their pants? Now, if you're gonna push more, you're gonna receive the answer from society who see that you're not reasonable in this situation. You on the wrong side. And you don't let the person who all the people around think is absolutely have a right. Right? Right. And now you just try to go through the solid wall. And
Well,
you destroy your reputation by doing that.
I don't think they would have done this if they thought they were going to do that. The reason that they even went through with this was because they thought it was a slam dunk case. You're talking about local judge, local sheriff, a jury of their peers. Like, they probably thought, like, yeah, we're going to get him. Like, we're going to get him to give the sheriff's department $3 million. They only do it because they thought they were doing the right thing, or they thought they were doing a good thing, or they thought they were doing something they could get away with.
Like an easy thing.
Right, they wouldn't have done it if they didn't think they could do it. We shouldn't try to, like, we're looking at it from the outside looking in, right? Like, you're embarrassing yourself. This is crazy. They don't think they're embarrassing themselves. They think they're doing the right thing, and they think they'll get everybody's support. And I mean, look what happened. A lot of people, even within the community, supported Afroman.
It's also worth remembering that saying cops are crooked or corrupt is opinion. And when the government kicks down your door, the Constitution protects your right to say you don't like it. TLDR, if the verdict had gone against Afroman, I don't know that it would have been upheld on appeal. Afroman's countersuit was dismissed before trial. That means Afroman couldn't make the sheriff fix his door. 3.5 years after the raid, the case finally went to trial, and it was all documented on video. The deputies testified first. Here's the pound cake guy, Sean Cooley.
You were called Officer Pound Cake by Mr. Foreman?
Multiple times.
And the context of that name comes from a music video that Mr. Foreman created, correct?
I don't know where he got it at, but
Yeah.
The Adams County Sheriff laid down my door.
I love how they played it in the trial.
This feels like
you're
they're
gonna
just
see
trying
this
to like,
ridiculousness.
ha ha.
Yeah.
You would admit that you with the glasses walking by a lemon pound cake on the counter?
yes.
This clip isn't just funny, it does good legal work. Remember, for false light and defamation, he has to prove that Afroman said something false. But here, he admits the underlying event is real. That's him in the house, in the video, walking by the mom's dessert with what a reasonable person might describe as lustfulness.
That is a wild statement, by the way. I get what he's saying, but one might say he was looking lustful.
I want to be lustful with a pound cake. I want to eat it without the fork.
But that's not a factual claim, it's a joke, a characterization, the kind of exaggeration the First Amendment protects. This is also a classic approach to parody. Take a real event or a real person, exaggerate it, turn it into a character. Officers from other jurisdictions also call him pound cake.
When I walked into the deputy's room up there to talk to them, they all knew me, all knew that I'd been called a thief, lemon pound cake. He has posted my image, yes, several times on the internet.
So don't look at the pound cakes
He
then.
sold merchandise, sweatshirts, T-shirts, things of that nature at all of his venues. They were, matter of fact, they were for sale at a smoke shop here in town.
Of course he sold them at the smoke shop. And he's mad that other cops are calling him pound cake. Sue the sheriff's department.
Well, I must say that using your appearance on a T-shirt to sell, it's illegal.
Yes and no, but I would argue that he's not necessarily selling the likeness as much as he's profiting off of the copyright of the filming, the surveillance footage.
But you need to understand it's like really thin line in between of those
Right.
two.
I mean, but how is that different than like doing a man on the street interview, putting it on YouTube, like doing a bunch of those interviews with a bunch of different people, putting it on YouTube and then monetizing that?
If you're gonna make the T-shirts with their face and sell it, it's gonna count as using likeness. It's the same thing with the artist. If you
Right.
take some artist picture, like I don't know, some art from Pinterest, put it on a T-shirt and wearing it, it's okay. But if you take that, put it on a T-shirt and start selling it,
Yeah, but I mean, it's a very fine line. Like I said, he owns the
yes.
surveillance footage, and I'm sure he probably has a sign up that says "Smile, you're on camera," or "Area under surveillance." The very fact that he still won the case with that going on, and this was brought up during the trial, I don't know. Maybe they proved it wasn't a big deal. Maybe there's something with the state that has like certain laws that allow it.
Really possible.
But like, I don't know how different it is from being able to monetize a video when you interview random people on the street. But then again, we're not really involved in that kind of stuff. So we're not lawyers. And this guy on the screen right now, he's not your lawyer. He's just a lawyer.
But he can't get damages for emotional distress if he doesn't prove the other elements of defamation and false light. Here's another good moment of cross-examination by Afroman's lawyer, David Osborne.
We're not the thinnest people in the world, are we?
What about you?
Fat, but okay.
I was calling myself fat. But you would agree that we're not thin people.
Absolutely.
And you would agree that how you conduct yourself during a search and everything reflects directly on your reputation?
Absolutely.
You don't believe everything you read on the internet, do you?
No.
You actually probably don't believe everything you read in the newspaper, do you?
No.
Listen to this
You
part.
would agree that Exhibit D that I played, the song Lemon Pound Cake, is a music video for entertainment?
There again, he made accusations that I smoke weed on there, which I don't.
So you are suing based upon him saying you smoked weed in a song?
I say that goes along with some of the other rhetoric that he's told about us, lies he's told about us.
Okay.
Here, Osborne gets Cooley to agree that some comments, like calling someone fat, aren't really provable facts, they're opinions. Then he walks him into something even more important. Cooley admits he doesn't believe everything he reads online or in the media. Whoops, that's the reasonable person standard. Because if people don't take everything literally, then a song, which is obviously meant as entertainment, is even less likely to be understood as a factual claim. The defense called just one witness besides Afroman. That's Rhonda Grooms, a teacher and the ex-wife of Sheriff Deputy Sean Grooms.
Are you familiar with the song Wet Ass Pussy?
Yes.
Has your students played it in class?
Once, and I asked them to please turn it off.
When they were listening to it, did they think that was fact?
No.
So they didn't think that that was depicting anything in real life?
No.
Why nobody's take this song seriously?
She's a teacher, and she's also the ex-wife of one of the sheriffs. She's a witness for the defense for Afroman's team. So they're asking her, like they're trying to set a precedent.
I love women. They go against their ex-husbands.
Yes, so they're essentially, they set the precedents like, okay, you know about this song as a teacher, you deal with kids, and you know as an adult, as a teacher, that this isn't like a serious song. She's like, yeah, I don't like it, but it's how she expresses herself.
That's the artist expression, yeah.
Imagine being able to own your ex by testifying that he doesn't really understand the law and he was lying about being mortally wounded by a song. For example, one song calls Deputy Randy Walters a son of a bitch.
Randy Walters is the son of a bitch.
When they call you a son of a bitch, that would be an opinion?
I'd say that would be an opinion.
Okay. Because there's no way we can prove whether you're a son of a bitch or not.
Nah, she's been dead for years.
I'm sorry. I am sorry about your mother on that.
That is such a crazy time to laugh.
He just like, Yep.
Sorry about your mother.
Yep.
What do you think, Gary?
Sorry about your mother.
We got Gary eating a crunchy treat in the back. We think he's enjoying himself.
He's really barky. He's won attention. We want attention too, so watch our videos, press like, subscribe on our channel.
Comment, engage with us.
Yeah, we want to talk to you. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
You would agree, though, that when someone calls someone a son of a bitch, it's not necessarily a statement of fact. It's more a statement of opinion or a description of a person.
Sure.
The same thing with being called, I think it's Gomer Pyle.
Yes.
No one would think you're Gomer Pyle from the movie.
Obviously, that's a character in a movie.
This was an effective cross by Osborne. It went directly to the legal standard. By getting Walters to admit that calling someone a son of a bitch isn't something that can be proven true or false, the lawyer established that it's an opinion, not a statement of fact. Osborne showed the jury that these weren't factual assertions at all, but exaggerated comedic descriptions. In other words, the kind of rhetorical hyperbole the First Amendment protects. Sergeant Walters testified that one of the most harmful things Afroman did was suggest in a song that he had slept with Walters' wife.
He said he had sex with your wife.
Yes.
And that's painted you in a false light.
It's caused tremendous pain in my life.
But under cross-examination, things got more complicated.
Does it paint you in a false light?
Yes, that my wife is cheating on me with Mr. Foreman.
But we all know that's not true, correct?
I don't know.
That is not the right thing to say. If you're suing somebody for painting you in a false light, Yeah, they're asking, okay, so if this is painting you in a false light, that means your wife didn't cheat on you. I don't know.
You need to ask him.
His answers probably damage his case. False light and defamation both require some connection to falsity. But here, the alleged harm rests on a claim that even the plaintiff seemingly couldn't clearly define or disprove. At the same time, the statement comes from a rap song, an expressive medium that audiences don't typically interpret as a literal fact. So instead of showing a provably false statement, the testimony ended up highlighting the opposite, that this is exactly the kind of hyperbolic speech the First Amendment is designed to protect. A little side note, when a defendant shows up looking like this, plaintiff's attorneys would be wise not to underestimate them.
You're not wrong.
And because they executed a search warrant on your home, that gave you the right to post the things that we've seen this week on the internet?
Like, I mean, of course, this is the plaintiff's lawyer asking these questions. So, of course, he's on their side and he's going to ask these questions in such a way. But it's such a crazy, like, this gives you the right to do that. Like, yeah, literally the First Amendment.
Because
Is that right? Is that right, Mr. Foreman?
Yes, for tearing down my door, not paying for it, not being apologetic, me being a sport, doing something peaceful to raise the money to pay for their damages, me having the right of the freedom of speech as an American to talk to my family, friends, and fans about what the sheriffs did to my home. Yes, I had the right to my freedom of speech. After they left, I had the right to kick the can and to do what I had to do to repair the damage they brought to my house. Yes, I did.
That includes the right to post the videos that you've just been posting up until Friday and beyond, right?
Yes, I have freedom of speech. I'm a rapper. I entertain. I
have a cool hair.
I write fiction, comedy. Yes, I mean, I entertain for a living like you practice law for a living.
He didn't make the videos to be vindictive. The deputies created this situation. They tore down his door, ripped up his home, and refused to pay for the damages. That reminds the jury of who started it. But it's also a subtle way of pointing out that this lawsuit is actually retaliation against him for exercising his First Amendment rights, not the other way around. He clearly labels his conduct as entertainment. He writes, he performs, he entertains. He's not a reporter.
You remember in your deposition when I asked you why did you bring the news when you picked up the money?
Yeah,
this
I
part
didn't
is
want
crazy.
to get beat up or Epstein at the sheriff's station after I seen him running around my house with AR-15s.
So he brought the news station with him to the police station to reclaim his money. And essentially he's saying, like, I don't know what they're going to do to me if I come alone.
This makes me feel extra pissed off because in which country, except Russia, you can afraid of the police? Someone who must to protect your rights, someone who you must to feel safe in a police, like in a building, in an office, but you don't. You feel like if you go there alone, you cannot come out from there. That scares me, and I'm not gonna go into like politics and anything like that, but the question is, do America need some kind of reformative work on the police?
I think the answer is yes, and I think a lot more people know that these days.
But it's so sad that you can't trust this, like the law enforcement. They must protect you, and they probably do protect in some situations, but at the same time, they use their power to suppress you, to make you feel small and miserable and not important and whatever. You became a victim against someone who must protect you. That's scary. Think about that.
Thankfully, no one was hurt during the raid on Afroman's house, but people have been injured and killed during raids based on faulty information from confidential informants. When that happens, the damage can't be undone by a parody song. Two things unquestionably were hurt in the raid: Afroman's beautiful gate and his tasteful door with a sunburst window. So now that he won his case, will the state of Ohio finally help repair them? Unfortunately, no. His lawsuit for damages was dismissed because the warrant was lawful. Deeply flawed, but lawful. And unfortunately for Afroman, he's also probably on the hook for all of his attorney's fees because the defamation case against him was filed before Ohio enacted its anti-SLAPP statute in January of 2025. But there is one silver, platinum lining here for Afroman. The internet never forgets. And so when it's the night before your trial, and this banger is what you put into the world, you're probably going to end up with all the gates and doors you could ever want.
Mine eyes have seen informants get busted with felonies. Tell the cops I'm a kidnapper and I sell a lot of keys. Raid my house and then get pissed, 'cause the dungeon don't exist. My proof's on the internet.
That's true. That's true. Internet remember everything. All these videos, they're gonna circulate about maybe a week, 2, 3. But if something gonna happens along the line, people go back and rewatch it because it's gonna be accessible, and they're gonna be mad at you because you being unreasonable. And your lawyer sucks. Change the lawyer, or just go buy yourself some small house somewhere in the woods. Build the greenhouse and grow potatoes, tomatoes. I mean, they just need to shut up and sit straight. Maybe in a couple years, everyone forget.
Here's Gary, by the way.
I don't know if we can see him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it. There's a little boy.
Yeah, he's licking his spot because we gave him a tasty pig ear. We eat plant-based. Garrick eats
everything.
Animals that eat plants. I think this is a good place to leave off, Marie. We're glad he won. We'll keep an eye on this, see if anything else comes up. I did like this video because it was very informative. It kind of explained a lot of the stuff that we were questioning yesterday when we were checking out content surrounding this. And anything to say before we go?
Justin asked you to subscribe on our channel and press likes and left the comments. He's going to be so happy, and he show you a little button on his booty hole. So yeah. Listen, Justin, and subscribe. And we're going to be so happy to see you in next live. Or maybe you decide to watch some episodes. We have a bunch of stuff.
And we're also open to recommendations. If there's something that you want to get our take on, see us cover, drop it in the comments down below. Anything else, you can always just hit us up on our email, goodsoup.prod@gmail.com. We'd like to do our interview stuff again. So if you know someone that's worth interviewing, everyone's worth interviewing. But if you know someone that you want to see interviewed, I don't know, hit us up. Make sure you hit us up in the comments. Comments.
Yeah.
Engagement.
Yeah. Subscribe, comments, like. See you soon.
Bye.